The Timeline is a Blue Wire podcast. Welcome to the Timeline of Phoenix Suns podcast. My name is Mike. I'm here with Sam. Sam, that sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. The Suns lost 109-103 in Milwaukee. The team with one of the best, I think the best road record in the playoffs. They are now, I believe, 9-1. Tough place to beat Milwaukee. They were described to us as resilient by our friends with the Eurostep podcast, and I think we saw some of that resiliency tonight with them pulling this one out after I think the Suns played really well throughout this game and then kind of gave it up at the end when Devin Booker went out. What'd you think?
I don't know where to start. This was a really tough game, Mike.
Yeah.
It was all over the place. I mean, I guess the place you could start, Devin Booker, 42 points.
Yeah.
We were on the verge of a legendary performance from him, but coupled with 38 combined points from the rest of the starting lineup, just isn't going to cut it. It's just not.
Yeah, I think there's one obvious issue I think that the Suns could carry into the future games, and that's the way that Chris Paul is currently playing. And I said it after game 1 or game 2, I believe, that something just didn't look right with Chris Paul. And I think tonight that was the same. I still speculate that it's his wrist. It looks like his wrist to me because every single time that the ball is not in play, he's grabbing at his left wrist. And I think this is why the handles look off. That's the main issue. I think you take away Chris Paul's shooting. We saw it in the Lakers series. He can still do a lot. He's able to find his way to the spots of the defense that open other guys up. You take away his handles and you take away his ability to get to spots. If he's struggling getting to spots, that's going to be a huge problem for the Suns. And he had the most costly turnover of this game. Couple that with a Giannis block on a really nice pass by Devin Booker on DeAndre Ayton's lob attempt. And that's really the game right at the end there. That's when the Bucks took control.
I don't understand if it's a wrist issue, which, I'm inclined to believe you. It's the movement looks off to me too, but I just don't understand what happened for him to re-aggravate it during this series where he was still in the position. I mean, he was so dominant in game 1.
Yeah.
He was so good. And then, so there, there's just an element here of, Chris Paul got canceled out by Jrue Holiday. Can't happen.
Yeah.
Can't happen, Mike. I want to defend him. I really do. He's had such a fantastic season.
Mm-hmm.
Going into this game, he was the MVP of the series so far. I think you can make a case for Ayton, but realistically, he was the MVP of the series so far. He was the guy who was going to win the award if the Suns kept rolling ahead at this pace. But this is just... this is his legacy on the line. Mm-hmm. If he wants it, if the Suns lose this doesn't matter if it's 6 or 7. If they lose this, there's that stat, like I think it's 92% of teams that take a 2-0 lead in any series persevere in NBA history. Mm-hmm. And now the Suns are in serious danger of being one of the 8%. And if it's Chris Paul doing that after the career he's had, it's going to be slander for the rest of the man's life.
Yeah.
So I hope he wakes up. I hope he wakes up in Game 5 because it's his legacy on the line.
I'm sure it's already flying tonight. And I think in this case, I guess it's kind of fair. I don't know how many times Chris Paul led the Suns in turnovers. I would guess that it's less than 5 this season, maybe even as close to 0.
Let me look up his page real quick and see how many times he's even had 5 turnovers in a game this year.
Yeah, I think it's happened a few times, at least once, I remember. But leading the team in turnovers is just such a rare thing for Chris Paul, and in this game he did. And the turnovers were odd turnovers too. There were one of them was like the one that was a bounce pass to Ayton when Ayton was trying to seal off against Lopez. That's, I think, the least egregious one. The rest of them just look like just weird turnovers that just he never He never really has.
The one that literally split the difference between, I think it was Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges on the perimeter, but like wasn't really on target to hit anybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
With his left
Sailed
hand,
into
by
the
the way.
stands. That was crazy. Yeah, I didn't track that. That's a good observation. I'm looking at the game log here. He had 5 games in an entire regular season with 5 turnovers or more.
Yeah.
And then has done it twice in the past 3 games.
Yeah.
I said on Twitter, and I'll reiterate, I give the Bucks a lot of credit.
They deserve it, yeah.
Obviously, because the on-ball defense with Drew has been on point, and the way their other guys soak up space in and around the nail, show extra help, and kind of take away his angles. I mean, they've just been really good at doing that in a way that I think the other teams we played so far in the playoffs haven't been. But regardless, he should be better than this. I mean, it's Chris Paul. If there was one thing I came into this series not thinking I would have to question, it was the play of Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I thought Devin Booker would serve up some stinkers. He
had
tends
one.
to. He showed us that in Game 3. I thought maybe DeAndre, this is the series where he gets put into foul trouble. We saw it in one game, but for the most part, he was again really good on the defensive end tonight.
Yeah, I thought he did really well. And rebounding.
I was questioning, Campaign coming off that ankle, the shooters and their ability to keep poise in this series, but I never questioned Chris Paul.
Yeah.
So now, if it's a tied series, you tell yourself you've got home court advantage. All you have to do is win 2 of 3. But if we're in a situation now where we have to question Chris Paul, we're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, he can come back in the next game and look fine. That Devin Booker struggled in the last game. And by the way, I did notice in this game, somebody pointed out to me in the last one, Booker holding onto his wrist as well on the bench. And I saw him doing that. Doesn't appear to be bothering him in the same way because he hit 3 baskets in a row with that left hand. So it's clearly not exactly the same there. But I did notice it as well. And him having a bad game was odd. And it's possible that Chris Paul can come back and have his best game of the series again, the way that Devin Booker did. And if he does, that'd be huge. And the Suns started this series winning 2 in a row. If they do that again, it's a championship. So there's always a possibility they come back and do fine. And once again, credit to the Bucks. I think they bother Chris Paul, and I think some of the turnovers are on them as far as bothering him up and down the court. And they force him just a little bit out of his rhythm, and just that little tiny bit can force him into some turnovers. But we saw other teams doing that to him throughout this playoff run, and it's affecting him a lot more right now, and it's just weird. He's grabbing at his wrist, and the unforced turnovers where he's just dribbling it. The left to right crossover was the last one from his left, and it's clear that it didn't go exactly where he thought it would with his right hand. So it's just very odd for him. But we can move on from that because there's not a lot we can say there. He has to play better for the Suns to win this series. That's the main thing.
I mean, it's not like you're going to bench him. He's going to play his 35-plus minutes, and whatever happens, happens.
And the Suns really, they just have to win 2 out of the next 3 games. That's what it boils down to, and they have 2 of them at home. So big moments for them coming up. Devin Booker, 42 points. We'll just want to cover that a little bit more. This is, I think, the stat for his 42 points that stands out to me. 0 for 3 from 3, and it's not the 0 made threes. It's the 3 attempts. That's what he needed to do. In the last game, I thought he was settling for threes. And I don't talk about settling for threes very often. That's not my thing. I don't believe in settling for threes. But there are guys that have to get into the, as Eddie Johnson calls it, the teeth of the defense in order to open other guys up. That's Chris Paul and that's Devin Booker. And they have to do that because no other guy on this team does it consistently well. Outside of Campaign, who was a little bit better tonight. So for Devin Booker, being able to get to that mid-range, not just that, too, I think posting up guys like Pat Connaughton and even at times Drew Holiday, I thought was huge for him. And getting those shots off from the mid-range was just an old-school, really beautiful basketball game for him. It's unfortunate that 5th foul took him out of the game so early. I think that's kind of where the game ended.
Yeah, and the word of the night for me was cadence when it comes to describing what Book did. I mean, I don't want to take away from what was a tremendous performance. We were a couple buckets away from talking about this one for the rest of our lives. Yeah. When he has it going, there's a real beat, a real rhythm to watching how he operates from that mid-range area. If you just look at his shot chart tonight, like you were referencing, it's ridiculous, the level of difficulty with some of those shots he was hitting. And I think with Book specifically, what always impresses me is the physicality that he embraces from the shooting guard position is just so rare. I think in Game 3, what we've seen like guys like Drew and Chris Middleton be able to do so effectively in the series, and PJ as well, because PJ was a primary defender, but hit him first. They were able to kind of throw the first punch at Book and take away his space that way and make him really feel it. He came back in this game and he hit them first. He embraced the physicality in a way that was really special to see. And he's not, we talk about this all the time, he's not like the most explosive in your face guy who's just going to drive by you every time. But once he's able to kind of embrace that contact a little bit, you can see him start to create space and then ultimately just finish with a really smooth release and make difficult shots. So he was terrific. I mean, he got PJ into foul trouble early on in the game. The Suns in this one thing that they did do well, they're not going to win the free throw battle against Milwaukee often. They're just not. So for them to have 19 free throws in this one to Milwaukee's, Milwaukee had 29 at the end because of the intentional fouling in the last minute. But I think before I checked, at some point Milwaukee was at like 22, 23, and the Suns finished with 19. So that's a little bit closer, I think, to the true way that it felt this game was officiated.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously, I thought there were some terrible calls on both sides tonight, but the end result was that both teams shot a lot of free throws. So,
yeah, I think Booker's it was just a masterful performance by him, and it's a bad thing that it came in a loss at this point. But I think for more than anything else, I think he figured something out. He figured out ways to do it. A big thing that they did with him is if Pat Connaughton was on the floor, which if you can get PJ Tucker in foul trouble, or if Brook Lopez just doesn't play a lot of minutes, and Pat Connaughton will come in for Brook. At times, Pat Connaughton will even come in for Giannis. It's just he's the first guy off the bench. Whoever he's coming off for is whoever's guarding him is who's going to screen for Devin Booker at that point. Like once he's floor. As I saw your sister refer to him on Twitter tonight, Jesse Pinkman. By the way, had seen that. That's pretty good. Yeah, and look, you get Pat Connaughton on Devin Booker. You got a couple different ways to bully him. He's not going to move his feet fast enough if Booker can get by him. He's not going to contest if you get him like in an off-ball scenario around a curl screen or something like that. And he can post him up. So you got 3 ways to go, and that's Devin Booker's 3 favorite ways to go. And at that point, if you can get him to not settle for that 3-point shot, I think you can get something going there. And I thought they did a really good job of that. And I think people at times will get frustrated with the sort of pick on a defender style of play. I think this Bucks team really exemplifies why you have to do that. They have so many good defenders, and they know the plays that the Suns are going to run. So at some point, that's going to be your best offense. You really just have to pick on the worst defender that's on the team. And if that happens in isolation, then it happens in isolation. Sometimes you have to do it. And I think he did a really great job. One of the best games of the playoffs for him so far.
Yeah, again, I think just pace was the key, something the Suns offense did well tonight. They came out and they played faster, and they were able to get into their sets like at the 17, 18 second mark and not at the 11 or 12 second mark because they broke through, penetrated through the early on-ball pressure from guys like Drew. And what that allows them to do is, okay, so you get into isolation offense and you're targeting a guy, if that's Connaughton or whoever else, but you have the ability to draw the initial switch, try and attack, dribble back out if you have to, rescreen, and kind of look for multiple options in a way that if they are able to successfully speed you up, you start the possession and there's already only like 11 seconds left, you're kind of forced into a lot of dumber shots. Mm-hmm. So I thought the Suns took a ton of mid-range shots tonight. They took a ton of difficult shots with Devin Booker. I think that's the most frustrating thing that we can take away from this is the Bucks on one end shot 24% from deep, 7 for 29. And on the other hand, it just feels like you squandered a special Booker performance where he was hitting everything with a hand in his face. You got to wonder what happens in Game 5, with kind of like the shot quality, the profile of looks that both teams are getting in the future.
Yeah, a difficult shot for Devin Booker from 13, 14, 15 feet is different than a difficult shot from Devin Booker from 22 feet. And so if he can continue to get those kinds of difficult shots, I think he could still do pretty well. Something that I don't think you can count on beyond that, like obviously maybe not 42 points from Booker, but another good scoring game wouldn't surprise me at all. Jay Crowder shot 7 free throws in this game. Like, that's the type of thing I think you can't really count on. That's where you're getting points out of nothing. And he was 6 for 7, had a great game. Beyond that, I just want to shout out Jay Crowder's game in general, who Bucks fans just must hate. Every team that we've played
absolutely
must hate him. 15 points, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. I think just a really good game by him. I think there's points in this game now. The Suns just did not try any other big, finally. And they're just going with the small ball lineup that includes 3 tall wings. Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, Torrey Craig are generally the guys on the floor.
And they didn't get killed this time, critically.
Yeah, and I think they did really well. They gave up a couple, maybe 1 or 2 offensive rebounds in this game, but I thought they did everything else really well. One big thing I saw them change was pick and rolls by Torrey Craig. Craig was rolling instead of popping. And I think that opened up a lot of space because the defenders were kind of really more scared of shooters than they were of Torrey rolling, and he got free throws out of it and he got a dunk out of it. So I thought that was a nice change for Monty in that small ball lineup, still having a roll threat, and that being Torrey Craig made a lot of sense because who else is going to do it? You kind of want Cameron Johnson popping. Jay Crowder's not going to do that. He kind of panics and throws it out of bounds on a lot of his cuts with the ball, so it's got to be Craig.
Man. I'm trying to think of where to go next. Do you want to talk about Mikal Bridges or DeAndre Ayton?
Well, Ayton, it's an interesting game for DeAndre Ayton. It's really, really the lob by Devin Booker to Ayton would have been one of the more exciting plays by DeAndre Ayton and for the Suns in the playoffs. But Giannis did something incredible. Weird that they didn't show the replay on that, I thought. Because that was
I went to Twitter.
Yeah,
I went to Twitter and people were like, "Oh, that's one of the best blocks ever." I mean, obviously, it's not better than LeBron on fucking.
I don't know, man.
Jesus,
It's close.
No,
It's
not. It's not. But with Da, 2 fouls in 39 minutes, that was the thing that scared us, right? He picked up his second foul in the second quarter. The first call on him, I just remember distinctly. And again, I think there were look, Booker should have fouled out in this game. I'm man enough to say it.
Yeah.
So I'm not wholly criticizing the officiating here, but like the first foul on Ayton in this game was a touch foul of Giannis just spinning into him and Ayton absorbing the contact and like was still called because I don't know, he had his hands up and everything.
No, he had his hands down on that one. I think that's why they called it. Yeah. He didn't really abuse him to push, but he didn't have him away from Giannis's body.
I need to see a replay. My point is, I saw that what really was a touch foul, and I thought that was going to dictate the rest of the game. I thought, here we go. It's another one. He's going to have 4 or 5 in the third quarter, and we're going to be fucked. Thankfully, we weren't put into that position. I thought he played great defense even while he was tired deep into the fourth quarter. I thought his teammates stepped up and allowed him to play off of Giannis a little bit at times, so like other guys would kind of step up at the nail and they would take the foul for him in the second half if they had to. Chris Paul did it a couple times, Jay Crowder did it a couple times. Just anything. I don't mind if guys foul Giannis. He's gonna soak up 20 fouls a game and get to the free throw line. It's just an inevitability that we got to deal with. But I mind if DeAndre Ayton is fouling Giannis because then we lose the game. So, in this one we lost the game anyway. But I thought at least they had the right idea there. It just sucks because when Booker really had it going in the first half, it's the type of thing that is sort of predictive of a good DeAndre Ayton second half because you think there's going to be more pressure on Booker, more gravity, and that's going to open things up. That's going to open up the lob. We just never really saw it materialize out of DA. This one finished with only 6 points. Yeah, and they kept him off. They also kept him off the offensive glass really well. He was astounding on the defensive glass. I thought his boxing out was really, really good, but only had 1 offensive rebound in this one. So they kept him off, boxed him out, and kind of neutralized his offense entirely. And if you're the Suns, you shoot 30% from deep, and you don't get Ayton's inside presence, typically that's a formula to have a pretty shitty offensive performance and most of the time lose the game.
17 offensive rebounds for the Bucks.
I know. It's just, you heard Monty use in the Wired segment, like tired is not a word in our vocabulary. Later he was chastising the guys about being outworked. That's just kind of what it is. they just were outworked. You
And,
know,
I
it's
mean,
like
and in the bench lineups, they don't have the size to.
I know,
they don't.
but
have,
like. I know, but like Brook Lopez, but again, Mike, Brook Lopez played 19 minutes.
Yeah.
He had 1 offensive rebound.
yeah,
You know, it's like Drew Holiday had 3 offensive rebounds. Pat Connaughton had 3 offensive rebounds. That can't happen.
and PJ Tucker.
Those aren't, they're strong guys. Don't get me wrong. They're like, you know, guards who play like wings. PJ Tucker, good point, had 3 offensive rebounds. But these are guys, they're like 6'5". You should be able to box them out. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you lost the NBA Finals. You know, like
Yeah.
these things are gonna keep coming up in the next few games.
Yeah, I think the Suns. It's a tough equation with PJ Tucker because you kind of hide guys on him. So in a sense, you're probably just giving those up a little bit for him. But I think guys like Pat Connaughton, that's a good example. That's just effort. He just flies in there, effort at the right time, and he did really well in this game. Good rebounder in general. Torrey Craig-esque in his effort for rebounds. But you just can't give him up to him. That's just a guy who's going to steal as many as he can. I thought the Suns did a good job on Giannis in this game as far as game plan. He still had 26 points. This is Giannis we're talking about. But they didn't let him get to the line as much as he could have. And I thought they helped at the right times. They did a lot of good help defense, just kind of stopping him and getting the ball out of his hands in certain scenarios, depending on where he caught the ball. I did think that Giannis was in transition, playing for the pass more than he was playing for the rim, trying to get shooters open. So that, in a sense, that kind of played into the Suns' hands. But just getting the ball out of Giannis' hands worked in this game. It's just when on the other side of that, Chris Middleton is scoring 40 points on Mikal Bridges. That's tough. And they were on Mikal Bridges. Like, he did a very good job scoring on a very good defender in Mikal.
Mm-hmm. He's due for one of those a series,
Yeah.
so I'm just hoping that this was the 40-point Chris Middleton game because you knew he wasn't going to be asleep forever. And I'm just hoping this was the game and he doesn't have another one of those because you're right, we can't afford to take away both Giannis and Middleton's games entirely. With Mikal, man, it's tough because, yeah, he played good defense on Middleton, like if you want to say like he contested the shots, but at the end of the day, he gave up 40 points and he scored 7. And he took 4 shots, and Cam Johnson got more playing time than him. And I think there's a reason for that. Like, it happened again.
Yeah.
With Mikal, we're seeing flashes, man. Like literally flashes. Actually, the flash cut he had in the first half that generated like a mid-range bucket. He saw he didn't have Ayton was trying to seal off whoever was guarding him.
PJ.
He didn't have Ayton on the pass.
Yeah.
PJ, thank you. You have like a terrific memory with these plays because
Connaughton was the guy that was late.
They go into my brain and then out as soon as the game is over. But yeah, so he just decided to rise up and take the mid-range shot instead. It's like, man, that's great. Give me more of that. Like, I need that 5 or 6 times a game out of you. You know, what happened to the Game 2 27-point Mikal Bridges? I know a lot of that's on spot-ups. I don't expect him to get 10 spot-up 3-point attempts every game. But it's like, we've seen these flashes from you all season, dude. It's time. We need to see more. We need to see more in this series, especially if it's going to be a game where Chris Paul doesn't have it. Like, someone else has got to step up. That's not going to be Jay Crowder. That's not going to be DeAndre Ayton, like, attacking from the perimeter.
No.
I mean, you know, Ayton will get his offense, but he can't initiate his own offense.
Will he?
What do you mean?
I mean, 2 games in a row, I think Ayton struggled offensively. I don't think we can necessarily count on him to just automatically score in these games.
No. I'm not saying automatically, but I'm saying Ayton will get the easy stuff, the lobs. It'll come naturally to him. I don't expect him to score 6 points in the next game. But I'm saying if Chris Paul is a 0, and it pains me to say that he was tonight, it was a negative actually, and Cam Payne is still not quite looking like himself. There needs to be something else. There just needs to be.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the 2 games that DeAndre Ayton maybe didn't score much offensively are the 2 games where Chris Paul was struggling. Their games are just, they go together. They're symbiotic. One guy needs the other, and that's just kind of how it works. If Ayton gets a couple lobs, that opens up the mid-range shot for Chris Paul. If Chris Paul hits that mid-range shot, it opens up the lob. And for Chris Paul to struggle, it just shows exactly why DeAndre Ayton needs a guy like Chris Paul You can't really count on him to do what Giannis is doing, for example. Not that any other guys can do that. Before him it was just LeBron. But you can't count on him to do that. And I think Mikal is another guy where offensively, you're right. I think he needs to find more ways to be effective, and it's mainly cutting. I think for his 3-point shots, you just count on guys leaving him, and they're not leaving guys at this point. They're just not.
Yeah.
And I think they played it right with Devin Booker in that they just they didn't over adjust to him scoring early and send another guy at him. They trapped maybe twice in his entire run there, and I thought that was the right way to play it for the Bucks because other guys, like if Chris Paul was on, it'd be different, but I think if you just stay on guys, don't let them get any 3-pointers out of that. That was the right way to do it. With Chris Middleton, there was a point in the series with the Clippers where Paul George started to figure out Mikal Bridges a little bit as well, and what the Suns did, and they kind of lucked into, in a sense, is Torrey Craig came in and was able to play some minutes against Paul George, and he was able to sort of get into him a little bit more and use his strength to kind of push him around defensively a little bit. And I don't think that the Suns need to overreact to a 40-point game by Chris Middleton right now. I don't, because I think he is a little bit streaky and he plays better at home. To come back to Phoenix, though, if Chris Middleton starts heating up, I'd like to see a little bit of Torrey Craig on him, give him a stronger guy, a stronger body who has some extra fouls to give. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think the Suns might struggle with that a little bit because he's essentially playing center right now, but I think you can afford for a few minutes a game to give Chris Middleton a different look, a guy who is very good at not getting screened in Torrey Craig.
I wouldn't mind seeing it either. That sort of just speaks to how versatile Torrey Craig is and what he's become. It's a little bit sad in a way that this is a guy we had to pick up at the deadline. I mean, it was a great move by James Jones, but like that now he's sort of just plugging in every hole. He has to play center and guard Giannis. Yeah. He has to guard Chris Middleton. It's a lot to ask of Torrey Craig, who's only going out there for 15 or 20 minutes a game. Yeah, man, adjustment-wise, I don't think this is a game where you freak out and say, we need to scrap the whole game plan and make a ton of adjustments. I think we can just be sad for the next 3 days as we wait another 3 days for Game 5 in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And really pray. You don't need 40 points from Devin Booker. Mm-mm. You don't.
No.
You can get 30 points from Devin Booker. Or even 25, but only if Chris Paul shows up. Yeah. Only if Mikal Bridges, there's got to be some help. Yeah. There has just got to be some help. We can afford for one or two guys to disappear in a game. Can't afford the entire goddamn team disappearing on us like that. Not again, especially not at home.
Yeah, and at some point, I don't think that you overreact to this either. But at some point, if Chris Paul is struggling to hold on to the ball early in this game, you might want to
waive him.
Yeah, you waive him. Sign Isaiah Canaan, and then just go at it there. But no, maybe a little bit more campaign minutes is all I was going to say, and see how he can do.
Yeah, I'll give Cam credit in that at least he was driving in this game in a way that felt a little bit more fluid in the past. I mean, you look at his stat line wasn't bad. He shot 4 for 7. He had 9 points.
The assists but aren't there with him like you need.
He doesn't. Yeah, he just doesn't look as dangerous coming downhill, and especially he tried a couple of times. Here you go. I'm forgetting who the second defender was, but you with your photographic memory, I bet you remember. He drove in on, was it Brook and Giannis?
Yeah, I think so.
It was
actually
Giannis
it was Bobby
and another,
Portis, I think, that blocked
it. Was Portis.
Yeah.
Portis played more tonight. But he drove, and then he came down and looked a little bit hobbled. But just the way he kind of got wedged between the two of those guys. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're a finesse finisher, dude. Nice try, but that's not going to work. Yeah. He looked like he almost got his entire body got crushed in the middle of those two guys.
I'd like to see his 3-point shot come back. I think that after the ankle injury, that's the thing that's really been missing. And they're putting him in the corners, and he's not entirely used to that. And he even stepped out of bounds once in this game. But I think that 3-point shot coming back for him would be huge for the Suns because it's another dynamic. And they do tend to leave him open on that shot because he'll blow by guys. So they give him a little more space than they would even like Devin Booker or Chris Paul. So if he could make that would be a nice little punch off the bench. 20 points from him off the bench would be huge in any of these next games.
Any game.
Up. Yeah.
Any game. We haven't seen it once since. Have we seen it once since the Lakers series? Like a 15-plus point game from Cam Payne?
I don't think so. Well,
he hurt his ankle, so I don't blame him. But it's
he
it's
had
tough.
In game 2 of the Clippers series, he had the 29-point game. 29.8
Oh yeah,
assist
of
game.
course,
Yeah,
of course.
That was his last great
He
game.
stepped up huge.
His best game of his
huge.
career was the last game, and then he rolled
Since
it.
then,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the game log now. He had the 29-point game that was huge. Since then, he's played 7 games, 8 games, including tonight, and has reached double digits once.
Yeah, yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Before we get going
especially-
here, what do you think Monty's saying to these guys in the locker room right now? They're probably wrapped up at this point.
If I could come up with something as poetic as Monty Williams did, I probably wouldn't be a podcaster. I'll be honest. I'd be a motivational speaker or
I guess
a coach.
I'm not asking you to toss us a Confucius saying,
Yeah.
but I guess the reason I ask is because Monty has had this. He talks about poise all the time. He's had a very calm tone with these guys throughout this season. I think that's the way you coach the players of today. I don't think negative reinforcement is effective.
No.
I don't think there aren't many drill sergeants left in the NBA. There's a reason for that. I don't actually think it's productive. But I think we saw just through the broadcast wired segments, we started to get the first hints of urgency from Monty that we've ever seen. The Suns have never really been in this position, have they? I mean, it was tied 2-2 with the Lakers. But
the Lakers series, I think, was the only one they lost 2 games in a row in.
Yeah, this feels heightened. This is different.
Well, yeah, it's the finals. Yeah, and
I wonder. I just wonder how he's keeping a level head right now, or if he even is. If he even.
I guarantee he is. You know what he's going to do? He's going to go in there. He's going to say it's okay to let this hurt because it allows you to play better in the next game. And then he's going to point out the things that they did well.
You set a high level for yourself. Now
Yes,
go reach
exactly.
that level.
Yeah, it's okay to be
but
hurt.
to the whole team this time.
Yeah, and he's going to say 17 rebounds, 8, and that's exactly what you need to do. Clean up that finishing, and we could do even better. He's going to say, I don't know that he says anything to Chris Paul. That's the thing about Chris Paul is you probably don't need to.
He talks all the time about how he doesn't want to get in their head, right? With the star players. I don't know. I mean, he also talks about I'm not going to call you out. I'm going to call you up.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's doing that with the wings.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Cameron Johnson, another great game. But you might need more from Craig. You're gonna need more from Mikal Bridges, and ideally you get something similar from Jay Crowder at home. But yeah, you got anything else before we get going on this one?
Let's just call it a night, man. Shout out all you guys who are listening. I'm sure you're all thoroughly depressed.
Yeah. I'll say this. It's fun. It's fun to be here. It's fun to be in the finals.
It is
it's
fun to
have
be
a great
here.
Team. Also, it sucks.
It's fun to feel the pain. Actually, I wrote a little poem here, where I'm referencing a little poem. Yeah, it goes a little something like this. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. This is my last resort. We'll see you guys on Saturday.